heard a lot of talk about firewalls between the ownership and the managerial aspects of paper. I was wondering if those would be legal firewalls or would they be self-regulated firewalls? And the second very quick question is, instead of a regulatory body, would you say there might be some space for a carrot approach instead of a stick approach, where maybe you have a report card that sort of evaluates, okay, how newsworthy is this particular publication? That might be a way that would spur people to do a better job of self-regulating if they're getting an A on the report card.
Would you also identify yourself?
Oh yeah, sorry. My name is Nick. I'm a Fulbright Nehru researcher from the US, and I'm here for it.
All right. Okay. You had something to say?
I'm a journalist with the Pioneer newspaper. Since we're sort of wrapping up this debate here, what I take away from this discussion is that you don't need regulation as much as you need good journalism, and for good journalism you need good journalists. But if India's creme de la creme does not come to journalism, then how are we producing good journalists? And as senior editors here, that's my question to all of you. How do you
You want to say something?
The DD claims to a public broadcaster, then why it behaves like a puppet of a government? Is government regulating DD to highly?
See, all right. We are going to ask
that there are devious ways of controlling the media, and more than you can imagine. In the emergency, there was newsprint. You lady here spoke about newsprint. Newsprint, you'd think would be furthest from it. But what they did was, during the emergency, that the big newspapers who are always critical of government, they were to get much less newsprint than the small newspapers which are under the control of the government, and therefore propagated whatever government said. And then it was challenged, we challenged it, I appeared, and I still remember one judge of the eminence of Sir Chinnappa Reddy, who was otherwise a very fair, good judge. Whenever I broached this question, there were several other constitutional challenges. He said, now Mr. Nariman, we come to your holy cow point. You see, because people get a little worried that, you can print what you like and say what you like, but how does newsprint concern itself with freedom of the press? I mean, that was his view, which therefore alarmed me a bit. And ultimately, of course, the court decided in our favor, reduced the customs duty which was put on it, and so on, etc. But these are there are insidious ways in which this can be controlled. The big newspapers who are critical, the big channels who are critical. So you better beware. Do something, for God's sake, instead of discussing all this. You do something and to regulate yourselves in a body, as a body. But if you don't, I'm afraid they will regulate you, the judges or the legislators.
Ranaji, your closing remarks? You'd like to say something to this young man about Doordarshan?
All I would like to say is that, as Vinod said, there are 3 lies. There are also some half-lies. One of the half-lies is that Doordarshan is a total puppet in the hands of the government, which is half true because it is a public broadcaster. It is funded entirely by the government. To that extent, one of its mandates is that it should highlight government policies, and it should also highlight news as it reflects the government of the day's doings. But the fact is that the other half-lie is that Doordarshan is not watched. But time and again one comes across this kind of a reflection, which means that it is being watched. Otherwise you would not be saying what you are saying. How do you compare it with the other channels then? And are you sure, as Mr. Nariman pointed out, that the other channels are entirely free of any kinds of pressures? Yes, it has had some internal problems. You are quite well aware of it. I think the media has highlighted the internal problems. They are gradually being sorted. They'll probably never be sorted to full satisfaction of all. But believe me, a public broadcaster will always be voicing the policies of the government of the day more clearly than the opposition. And if it does give space to opposition, it will be very careful not to sort of highlight that too much. that is latent in the nature of a public broadcaster. And as a student of journalism, you should take that as a given. One point I would like to also point out here is about, there's been repeated talk about, I think somebody pointed out, about how the code of conduct during the election time is enforced. But it is enforced primarily because all the parties are keeping a very vigilant watch for the others flouting the norms. At the moment it happens, they come rushing even to the media. I mean, let alone the election commissioner, they also come to the media to say that a particular party is flouting a particular norm of the formed by the election. I wish the media would do the same thing, but I don't think the media will. So I think we should be pragmatic and accept that self-regulation is required, and it will probably, some attempts will be made. But I don't think they will ever be applied as well and as rigorously as the code of conduct during elections.
All right.
Whether it's a member of the media who's a different part of the media, or it's somebody else. So let's be very careful. The media gets beaten enough by government, by corporate interests, by mafias, by all these other people, and it gets beaten up by itself quite a lot as well. So let's not give anybody a stick. Let's raise journalistic ethics. Let's deal with disclosure and financial disclosure in laws which deal with politicians' disclosure and broad financial disclosure and corruption laws. Let's deal with insider trading and insider trading laws. Let's have...
And if I can just pitch in briefly, the Securities and Exchange Board of India actually has mandatory guidelines which says if you're reporting about a company in which the publishing company has a financial interest, it should disclose it. But this is one guideline which is being observed more in the breach.
Right. That needs to be observed through the existing legal system, right? And that needs to be enforced. So my final comment is, yes, absolutely, the media needs to observe the law, and it needs to raise its own standards, and it should have some voluntary disclosure standards, and we should strive for those things. But let's not give anybody sticks just to beat the media when there is so much that needs to be fixed in the broader context.
Mr. Vinod Mehta, your closing remarks.
Well, I've been an editor for 40 years, nearly. And one of the things that I have learned in those 40 years is never criticize a fellow editor.
500 crores.
They have extremely thin skins and you get into a lot of trouble, as I discovered 2 weeks ago.
All right. Well, we've run out of time. There are many issues, perhaps many unanswered questions. We will continue this debate. Thank you very much for being with us. You're all invited for lunch on behalf of the Foundation for Media Professionals. If you want to strengthen us, become our member, help us become stronger. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Excellent. I'm sorry I couldn't match that. Thank you very much.